Hi. A bit of music.
And I thought it was the music appropriate for the times. Well, I just lost it. I think I just closed it. Oh well, it doesn't want to be listened to. But I was there. We are going from surviving to thriving. So welcome everybody to this third book day of book launch. This is the first time in my life that I do a week-long book launch.
Hi, Mickey. Hi, Catherine.
Hello, everybody. So
hey,
we're going to
everyone.
ask you to close your microphones so that we can keep the quality of the sound for the recording. So I'd like to thank everybody for being there at this third day. We had Monday where we had everybody, all the authors. We had Robert, we have Catherine that's also in the house. We have Jean-Francois that's in the house. We have Mickey, we have Elizabeth. Actually, everybody is there. Woohoo! And we also had Antonio. So you can get a catch of the recording of that session if you missed it. It's on the DSG YouTube channel, and I think it's also repertoired on the DSG website. And yesterday you had Robert and Catherine who really launched it and rocked it, presenting you the core diamond model and the score and the SOAR and how you can be a generative leader in these times. So that has also been recorded for those who missed it. You can go on. And today we're going to be talking about growth. Well, it's all about growth, and this is a time for growth. We can call it crisis, but we could also call it growth. And so what I'll be presenting to you is the foundations of that. What's important to look into when you are you are a generative consultant, and also for your own business, because as you have seen, since those who have been following, we have a theme or a logo for the generative consulting program, which is be the generative change you want to see in the world. So the generative change starts with you. And everything that is being presented, which is for the businesses and the organizations and the entrepreneurs, well, you are probably also a business to whom you can apply all of these things. So really important to start to apply it to you, and then we can share it with the world and be even more effective in sharing it with the world. So I'd just like to say a few words. Last time when we were with Robert, we presented ourselves, but actually we just presented our locality. I'm from Quebec City, but I'm also much, much more than that. I've been actually accompanying Robert in the leadership team for the past few years. I'm also an NLP master trainer. I have a school here in Quebec City where I train coaches, executive coaches, business coaches, life coaches, couples coaches, so everything with NLP. Also fostering the development of NLP fourth generation, which is more on spiritual intelligence, how we can bring that into the world and also bring that into businesses. And I've been working with entrepreneurs and businesses for the past 20 years, so I have this to heart. So when Robert asked to join the team in SFM, it really connected and aligned with everything that I've been doing for the past 20 years. And this chapter is really coining what is essential and necessary to start from the ground up, whether you're a new business and you want to have a solid foundation. It's like anything that you build. If you don't have a solid foundation, you can crumble at any time. And we're actually seeing that right now. I think the blessing in the COVID and pandemic is the ones that aren't solid are the businesses that aren't solid are being called to re-solidify, and they're looking, where do I start? Where do I start? And the generative consulting book is really a key that can help support these businesses to know, where do I start? So growth chapter, what are we going to be looking into? We have a 45 minutes that I'll be presenting elements from the chapter. I'm also going to have an interview. We have Tony Nutley, who is from the UK College of Personal Development, who I met in January, and he shared to me spontaneously how Robert's work and John Dilt's work that they created over 10, 15 years ago with the Circle of Success. He shared how it brought them so much success into a business that he's collaborating with. So he's a case study that's being presented in this chapter. So I thought it would be nice to have him join us and share live how he really brought it to the ground. So after I do a short presentation on the chapter, we'll be meeting him. And so I'm really happy to see you guys. I'm seeing friends from Generative Leadership that are from Israel, Greece, from Italy, and we have people from Russia, we have people from India, we have people from the Netherlands, we have Brazil. I didn't see all the others. I hope to get to meet you all. But we'll be starting our presentation. Also, Maxine from New York. Sorry, I forgot about Maxine, lovely Maxine.
And sweet.
And what? Sorry, Robert?
And sweet. Her
and
dog.
Sweet. Sweet, I missed that. I don't think we have don't have the same placement on the screen. So, so I'll be presenting. Hold on a second. I'm just going to bring on my screen here. Actually, for the presentation, I would like to ask you to close your cameras, and this will make for the recording to be more effective, so that we can concentrate on PowerPoint. So I'll ask you to close your PowerPoint and make sure your volume and your mic is also off. So hold on a second here. So if those who have not closed their video, will be closing it for you. Oops. So yes, tools for creativity, consciousness, and transformation are really needed at this time. And we're going into the growth chapter, going from not just surviving to thriving. So what I really love about Robert's approach and is this, how we can achieve a balance between soul and ego. And this is something that when I meet entrepreneurs who are starting up, they're sometimes struggling in these elements. How do I balance these parts of my being? Well, they don't necessarily call it balancing my soul and my ego, but we can hear it through their dialogue, the way they express themselves. I have a lot of entrepreneurs that want to contribute something. They know they have something, they're passionate about something, and they want to give back. So that is the soul part of our being. And then we have entrepreneurs that are in the business to be successful, to have a financial robustness, and being very solid, and they really want to be recognized or be a peer in the system. And that is the ego side. And what I loved about the approach is that we don't need to get rid of any part of it. And I know there's a lot of approaches that sometimes say we have to get rid of the ego. Well, no, it's important. It's part of us. It's like saying, well, am I going to get rid of my left arm and just use my right arm? No, it's part of us. So how can we build and nourish a healthy ego and healthy soul? So the 5 core elements or keys of a sustainable business, a successful business, an authentic business is, first of all, I'm just going to get a little pointer here so that we can all, I don't know if you guys see my, hold on a second.
I can see your mouth.
You can see my little,
Yep.
Do you see my little, yes, you do? Okay. So the core element is connecting to our passion. And when we are connected to our passion, we are nourishing our passion. We are also growing as a human being. So the core of this, the circle of success is personal satisfaction. We are taking care of ourselves and we are growing through our business. We can't just be in it. If you guys are all entrepreneurs, probably. In some way, or an intrapreneur maybe, you know that our business is part of our life. It's not just a 2-hour thing in a week. It may be consuming our whole week. And I was talking to Tony before you guys came on, and we're saying that it's the busiest time in our lives, in our business life. And with the COVID, we've never worked so much, 7 days a week for the past 5 or 6 months. And so our business is our life, and we need to also take care of growing and nourishing what is passionate, what brings the spark in our life. And when we're nourishing that passion, well, we can then transpose it to what we want to create in the world while we're connected to our passion. So a sustainable business is also contributing to society and to the environment. So not just taking care of ourselves, but taking care of the system. What do we want to see in the world? And I know a lot of businesses right now are questioning, what do I want to create in the world? Coming back to essentials, what is fundamental? What is really, really important for my business? Another element of success is also making sure that we are connected to our mission, and we are connected to a team that is also aligned with our mission and our values of our business. So this is all part of the soul part of us. So the passion, the vision, and the mission is taking care of our soul. And the ego side is taking care of our ambitions. And our ambitions is, what do we want to create? How many clients do I want to connect with this work this year with? How much money do I want to make this year? What type of recognition do I want to achieve? Do I want to spread out? How much expansion do I want to create with my business? This would be taking part of the ambition. And then we have at the bottom here, which is more the role. What role do we want to play in our organization? What are we going to need as collaborators to support us in this business? And I know a lot of businesses are at this time sometimes spreading themselves thin and taking care of everything. But you realize that you can do this for a while, as we were saying with Tony, that he hasn't taken 2 of his vacations in the past 6 months, and I'm taking a vacation in 2 weeks. And it's really well needed because we've been taking care of everything of all the levels. You can do it for a while, but then at one point you have to come back to what is really important. What is my passion? And where is my superpower? Where am I we call this a superpower in the SFM1, is where do you thrive? Where do all your talents naturally come through? And when you are connected to your talents, you are in energy. When you start to stretch and spread yourself thin, you may not always find the energy. You can find it for a while, but not eternally. You can develop it, but you can also work with other people who are in that talent. I know this morning I was with my accountant, and for me, accounting in numbers, it looks like Chinese. But I look at my accountant and she has the spark in her eyes, and she is so excited to take care of my accounting. And I'm so glad that I've delegated that part, because if I took care of it, I would be submerged and not very happy. But being with you guys right now, that sparks me. That's where the passion is. So as a generative consultant, it's important for you to start to look in and see where do I need to awaken something. I know a few weeks ago I was with an entrepreneur and I was sharing the model, the SFM circle of success. And she says, well, I'm all about contributing. I don't want to put numbers. I don't want to determine how much I want to make. I find that too limiting. And I said, well, that's interesting. She knows what she wants to contribute. She knows her passion. She knows what she's there for. But at the same time, she has this fear that if she puts an amount, she might be, how do you say in English? she might deceive herself, or she might be upset because she didn't achieve the goal that she gave herself. So then we notice that the ego might be an element that we need to foster and take care of. And there might be limiting beliefs that we want to transform. So an authentic entrepreneur, an authentic business, sustainable business is taking care of all these elements. And as a generative consultant, you can come and observe and see where there needs to be something to be transformed or to grow, or where is it lacking. So yesterday, Robert was presenting the SCORE model. So where's the symptom, and what's the cause, and what would be the objective in this situation and the effect? So you can start combining these different models together to support you in the way you look at a business. So hold on a second. Three elements that are presented in this chapter are the optimal mindsets. What do we need to take care of? And I think probably, Roberts, you've talked about this with the group, but there's the meta mindset, which is the big picture clarity. And the big picture clarity is when we start to hone into what is my passion? What is my vision? What is the mission? Are we clear on those elements? What are our ambitions for the next 2 years? Where do we, what are our benchmarks? How will we know we're striving? What's the roadmap that we want to follow for the next 2 years? What do we want to create? And then there's the role. So when we start to look into these things, we're taking care of the meta mindset. When I think of the meta mindset, for me, it's the direction. It's like that star in the sky that is guiding me, and that I'm putting all my energy and thoughts in this direction. It's always there in my mind's eye. Then you can come back to the macro mindset. And in the macro mindset, you have more of your what are your beliefs? What are you on a regular basis nourishing yourself with? I know a lot of people, businesses are saying, oh, this is a hard time. This is really a hard time. And they keep repeating this. It's a hard time. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not saying that it's not a hard time, but what are you doing in that hard time? Are you nourishing that belief and that thought that it's a hard time? Or are you going to say, well, how can I turn this into an opportunity? How can I foster this, nourish this, and make something out of it? It might be the opportune moment to spark your creativity and your generativity and think out of the box. How could we do things differently? And I think that's the blessing of COVID, is that it brings us out of our box. We were used to a way of working, but now we want to think otherwise, awaken the creativity. So macro mindset, what are those abilities, those qualities that we need to aliven within us that can support us on a daily basis? And what are those beliefs that will support us on a daily basis? Then you go into the micro mindset. So that is more on also, what are your daily priorities? Where are you putting your energy? I know I work with entrepreneurs, and we have to sort of, I use this like a elevator metaphor. Sometimes we have to stay close to the ground. Those are the micro mindset. And then you have to go up in the elevator. That's the meta mindset. And then in the middle, it's the micro mindset. We need to take care of all these elements. So in the chapter, we're actually presenting the success mindset map, which was created with Robert and Mickey and with Antonio's graphics. And the mindset map will give you all the questions, all the elements that need to be observed and diagnosed and answered in each of these meta mindsets, in each of these mindsets. So it's really honing in, what do I need to work on? So for some people, it might be very clear who their customers are. Who are your customers? But for others, it may not be so clear. I know a lot of people say, well, I like to sell my products to everybody. Everybody needs it, everybody. Well, there's a saying, if you aim everywhere, you get nowhere. So who are your clients? What value are you bringing to these clients? What exactly are you bringing to them? It's easier to develop a strategy when you're clued into who you're developing it for and what are you bringing as value into their lives. So you'll be having this in the chapter, all the specific questions to look into and to dive into and see what mindset needs to be worked on. Also, the circle of success. Well, I've already started to talk about it. And this is really, for me, one of the key models that made the difference. The difference, you know, in NLP, we always search for the difference that makes the difference. Also in SFM, success factor modeling, we're also searching for the difference that makes the difference. And this is the model that is the difference that makes the difference for me. It is the most complete model. And what I love about it is it's simple. I'm a simple being, authentic being. I need to have something easy and clear to understand. It may be simple, but it's not simplistic. I heard somebody say that the other day. It is simple. But it doesn't mean that it's always clear. And a lot of people need to hone into these different elements to see what needs to be worked on. So a lot of people sometimes right now are losing connection with their passion. And I ask entrepreneurs and businesses, what are you passionate about? And I don't know. If you've been in the field for 20 years, sometimes you lose sight of that. I know my passion is still as present as it was on day one, because I'm still at the same place and doing the same type of work. And I know, I remember when I started my business, I said, how will I know that I am succeeding? And I said, when I had written down one of my indicators, and I had said, when I wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and I am as excited to go into work as I was 10, 15 or 20 years ago, that is when I know that I'm succeeding. And 20 years later, I'm still like that, waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning and still as passionate to go into work and to meet the students and the people that we're training in my school. So what is the passion? Passion is the vitality. It is the life within you. And when you see people that are coming into work and there's no more life into them, well, what's their passion? I remember at one point in time, I was consulting in a business, and they asked me, the directors had asked me to take care of their team, to do a whole team intervention. And I said, well, is there somebody in the team that we should be taking care of? Is there somebody I should watch out for? And they said, well, yeah, there's this person. She's totally demotivated. She is excluding herself from the team, and we don't know what to do. And the first question when I went to this person, I said, what are you passionate about? And she said, gardening. But she was in a business sector, a government sector. And I said, oh, that's interesting. You're interested in gardening, and here you are doing more clerical work. I said, well, I went back to the bosses and asked, is there a way for people's passion to come into the workplace? Would you be open to greeting people's passion? I say, oh, and they didn't think of that. So we just started a discussion where they started to listen to the employees' passions and see how they could nourish the employees' passion. And this lady, since she loved gardening, they said, well, why don't you bring plants in the office? They noticed that there was no plants in the office. So she became the gardening lady in the office. And she, for the first time, people were talking to her and including her in the lunchroom, and it changed the whole atmosphere. So passion is also something really important. Sometimes it's vision. Sometimes I was mentioning we don't know who our customers are. What are we bringing to the world? So these are core questions. I'm looking at the time and I'm realizing I could talk, I'm so passionate about this, I could talk about it for hours. But I know we have a short time together. But please, I invite you to move and to go into this circle of success and dive into it and see where you need to grow. Do you need to awaken your ambition? Do you need to awaken your vision? Do you need to awaken your mission and align with your mission? Or do you need to be clear on your role and nourish your superpower within? So yes, you'll find the success mindset map in the book, like I was mentioning earlier. And there's also another amazing little tool that I love to use is since we are businesses, sometimes we have so many things to do, Well, where do I start? Well, start with a prioritizing matrix. When you have that to-do list, where would you put all these elements of the to-do list? Are they high impact and high? Is it easy to do, or is it something that has a low impact and it's hard to do? So it's a good way to prioritize your actions. So that's another little key tool that I love. I'm just going to come back to the circle of success. When I use the circle of success with businesses, I ask them to rate. A simple way is to rate them. How clear is your vision for you right now? And I ask them to scale on from 0 to 10. Where are you? And I do this with each of the elements. Where are you from 0 to 10? And that is a quick way to find out where we need to work. Is their ambition clear? Is your roadmap clear? Do you know what you want to accomplish in the next years? And so as soon as they say something between under 7 on 10, I say, oops, there's something to work on here. Okay, what can we do? And then we dive into that element. So just using a scale from 0 to 10 is a good way to hone in on the elements to work on. So, oops, I'm seeing people are writing in the chat. I'm sorry. I'm missing these. Oh, okay. There's no questions coming on, just support. Thank you guys for being there. Okay, there's another thing I wanted to talk about before we bring Tony on is the core competencies of a generative consultant in this phase. So of course, when you're supporting a business who is either in a startup or in a scale-up phase, first thing is connecting with them. How do you connect with them? How do you create trust for them to share elements, information about their situation? So really creating that connection. And for me, creating that connection is always coming back to the question is, how are we the same? I love to see differences, but how are we the same? That is one way that gets me more connected to them, when I notice that we are the same. So sometimes we connect into values, sometimes we connect with, we have a similar vision, sometimes we connect, we have similar passions, but I find what is that similarity? And that is something that brings us closer together and creates trust. Another core competency is about pattern detection, our ability to observe the larger system. What is going on here? And that, I know in my years of experiences is hearing those stories, you hear the stories, you start to recognize very quickly where they would need to work. Is it on the vision? Is it on the mission? Is it on the passion? Is it on the ambition or on the role? Are things clear? Sometimes people don't have a clear role. A lot of big organizations, I know the more you have levels in an organization, sometimes the less clear the role is because they play on different levels. I know a lot of directors and managers and leaders that I've been working and do a lot of micromanagement. And when you remind them that they're there to steer the ship and connect to the vision, the mission, the values, and that the people on the ground are the one who are there with the customers, they don't have to be disconnected, but they're not there to do the work. So pattern detection is an important ability. And then strategic thinking. Okay, so now that you've detected what needs to be worked on, what do we build as a plan? And we have to think strategically and stay aligned with the vision and the mission and the ambitions. So these are competencies that we have questions that can help you detect what elements in each of these core competencies that you would need to work on, or that you can support your clients for them also. So I am at the stage of presenting to you an amazing guy, Tony Nutley. I'm going to ask him to come on board and have him share with us who he is. Actually, Tony, I don't see you yet. Can you open your camera? There he is, a man of the world.
Hello there.
The man of the hour. Thank you so much, Tony, for coming on. I had this slide of male ninja, but I think I'd prefer to see just you. You are also a very passionate guy, and there, voila, I took off the share. Thank you for coming on today. And like I was saying, we met in Alicante at the Leadership Summit in January 2020.
January, yes. January seems like a lifetime ago now. So much has happened.
It does, eh? Wow.
Yeah, it does.
It was just this year, but it does feel like if it's a few years ago. But anyways,
It's crazy.
And I was just writing or finishing the chapter on the growth, and we happened to have an amazing conversation where you said you applied all these elements that we just presented, and something that you had learned from Robert and John Dilts. So before we go into talking about Male Ninja, I want to know a bit more about yourself. Let people know who you are. Who are you, Tony?
Okay, so my name's Tony, and I learnt, well, I always say, and I think some of my other colleagues who were on the program with Robert and John, there was before success factor modeling, and then there was after. And it was a game changer because it opened up the possibilities. And whilst I'd done a lot of NLP training, and there were lots of possibilities, these new, shinier possibilities seemed somehow more doable. And I remember towards the end of that program with Robert and John, and my colleague was sat next to me, Pilar, who some of you may know. And Robert said to me, "So what are you now going to do?" And I said, "Well, that's a good question." And I decided I was going to start college, a private college, that would focus on delivering personal development programs and accredited coaching and NLP programs. And so we thought, well, how would we do that? Because I had no idea how to do that. At that time, I had a corporate job, which I quit. And so using the circle, so, you know, who were going to be our customers, who were we going to partner with, the professional bodies, who we're going to, you know, get some money from, HSBC. And, you know, we had a team. So how would we support the team? And there was I in the middle with my passion for wanting to do something really, really cool, modeling myself on all of the mentors and trainers that I had over the years. And shock horror, we were successful. And I always say the reason we were successful is twofold. One, we got up in the morning and we put the effort in, and we were passionate about what we were doing and communicated that reasonably effectively. But also we had a structure, and the structure comes from what I'd learned on that program. So, you know, I am a believer, if not an evangelist, for using the tools that we learned. And I think lots of people on that program would probably say something very, very similar. And then about, I don't know, about maybe 10 years ago, is it that long ago? My mind goes into a complete bumble at this time of night. But my partner had a corporate job which he absolutely despised. And to the point that it was making a meal. He's just like, you know, I'm going into work every day. I absolutely hate what I'm doing. I hate the fact that I'm doing it. It's soulless and purposelessness. And so I said, well, what do you want to do? What would you like? Well, I want to start my own business. Well, what's stopping you? Nothing. What would it look like? Well, and then we just went back to the basics. Okay, so who would the customer be? What are you passionate about? Communicating, helping businesses grow, helping startups really get going. Well, that sounds like something we could get stuck with. We need a team of people. Who should we partner with? And all of those things over a period of time, and it wasn't what you might say, you know, just add water, instant success. It was over a period of time, but with that sort of sense of, we know where we're going, we've got the vision, the mission is get out of bed every morning, put the effort in, use the tools that we've got, communicate to as many people as you possibly can about what you're doing and the reason why, and guess what? You'll start to build some successes. And I think we, you know, partnered with the right people. And I say we, actually, I had very little to do with it, other than coaching and pointing people in the right direction. You know, Doug and his team are the ones who've done all the work. I just go there every now and again. Well, I went into the office today and stole one of their T-shirts. So I'm advertising for them today. And, you know, it worked. And when we had that conversation, it struck me, because I suppose I'd taken it almost for granted. But when we had that conversation in Alicante, it struck me as, bloody hell, yeah, it did work. And yes, it is a good example, actually, that it's not the college, which of course I would leap out of bed at 5 a.m. every morning for anyway, because it's the reason I'm alive. But, you know, this was another project. I've got no interest in what it is, the technology of it, the structure of emails and the marketing philosophies that they use and all that kind of blah, 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 blah. I've got no interest in that whatsoever. What I do have an interest in is in the how. What structure can we use to create success? And in using the success factor modeling tools, in particular the circle of success, and of course using logical levels, like where do we need to aim the machine gun of resources, remembering what our outcome is, that's never far from my mind either. I mean, I joke to our students here, I've got two things tattooed on the inside of my eyelids, logical levels on one side and an outcome setting process on the other, because that solves the problems, you know, and you'll always find a solution within there, and then you can go into strategy about how, because you figure out what's wrong and then go into strategy for how.
So we could tell everybody to go tattoo your eyelids with the circle of success.
Metaphorically, I wouldn't suggest you do that for real. Metaphoric. I don't have any tattoos for real. No, I'm too old for that nonsense. So you know, when we had that conversation, you said we should talk more about that. I went, yes, let's, because, and as I always say to everybody, there's nothing special about me. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Once you've got the tools and you have the motivation, you got to have the motivation, then you're good to go.
I love that. And I think that's what people need to hear. If you've got the tools, anybody can do this. You're a great example of passion and action.
Yeah, you got to have that. And, you know, I think, you know, people, you know, often in coaching, we don't like to ask why questions, but, you know, why are you passionate about this? Because, and that's the real reason for a why, because it will make a difference. I always remember Robert saying something like, I think it's the strapline on your website still, Robert, you know, building a world people want to belong to. I think it's in one of the leadership books where I first saw it, actually. And I thought, that's it. And part of my background many, many, many moons ago was in the church, but I left the church and I wanted to do something really powerful and real to make a difference in the world. And I believe this is it. And I genuinely believe that, because we do help people, you know, change their lives. And, you know, so that Melanie just had all the success. The college has had some great success. And of course, along comes, you know, COVID-19 and turns the world upside down. And so we think, oh, well, there's the end of the world. That's the end of everything. No, go back to the tools, go back to the models. Okay, what are we going to do? So we need to, how do we do this? You know, I'd never heard of Zoom before this. So we need to power up the team, retrain them how to use these cameras, the lights that we have here, having a second computer as a monitor, all of the things that you would do to be able to communicate with the students. Likewise with Mail Ninja, they've had to re-engineer their business, but it's been the cornerstone of growth and success, because they've now got agents that work for them, all around the globe in different time zones, because different people in different time zones, you know, the guys who work here in the UK don't necessarily want to be speaking to somebody the other side of the world at 10 o'clock at night. So we can, you know, hire some agents in that part of the world. So it really, the team has grown, the circle of success has grown, but the basic model is there all of the time, guiding and supporting all of the decisions that we make.
I remember you shared with me there was a key moment that really brought the business to the next level, and it was sometimes you were looking, well, who could we partner with? Or when you looked at the circle of success and there was that part, there's something that needs to be worked on. Who can we partner with? Can you tell us a bit more about that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, I think I do. We talk a lot. So there were a lot of ESPs that wanted, in fact, we had our own for a while, but we ditched that because it was just far too much hard work trying to control spam and validating people's accounts and all of the stuff that you have to deal with when you're setting up. And I say ESP, that's jargon, sorry, email service providers. And so we looked at lots of people to partner with, from MailChimp through to Salesforce and a whole bunch of others. And then we thought about what are the businesses, and this is the decision-making process about who you want to partner. Why are we doing this? We want to support small business. We want to support, mom and pop, as Americans would say, or startup, we would say here in the UK, to get going, to start something, leave your corporate job, do something that you really want to get your teeth into, something that will make you jump out of bed at 5 a.m. And so we partnered with MailChimp because that was their ethos. And Ben is the guy who set MailChimp up. Doug went to Atlanta and he met him, and they got really, really well. And they were kindred spirits about small businesses growing in a way that was, not going to destroy the environment, but got the message out there that this is a great service or this is a great product. And so the relationship over the last few years has become, like that. And now, Mail Ninja, and I'm proud to be part of that process, is the #1 UK partner with the biggest ESP in the world. So, that kind of success only comes with, yes, hard work, yes, passion, having the right tools, and thinking about how can we use this circle to enable us to partner with the right people, to make the right relationship with HSBC, the bank, which we obviously had to do that, because we both left our corporate jobs. So, we went with the plan that I went in there and I sat in that meeting with a circle and with logical levels, and I explained to the guy behind the desk, and I don't think he'd ever seen anything like that before. And he went, I really don't understand it, but I think it's a winner. And I thought, well, so there we go, it works.
Wow. Very inspiring story. And I know people will be able to look into your story more in depth in the chapter. Also in the annex, we're presenting everything on the evolution and what are the core elements that made the difference in this evolution and the success for Mail Ninja. I'd like to ask you, Tony, one last word of what would be something that's important for these people, these next generation generative consultants that are going on to the world. They'll be spreading these tools around, supporting their clients. What is something that would be important for them to remember, to remind themselves at this time?
I think there's two things, but it's really the same thing. The first thing is remember why you're there in the first place, because you really want to make a difference. There's only one reason you would sign up for this type of training. You want to make a difference to yourself, your family, to your community, your team, and to other businesses or other communities. And then the other thing is trust the process. And I know sometimes we can get anxiety and thinking, God, I'm a fraud because I haven't got a degree in business or an MBA or whatever. Do you know what? That never impresses me, to be honest with you. This impressed me because it worked far better than any of the business advice I ever had when I worked in the big corporate world. So I really genuinely believe if you trust the process, get into a great rapport with your clients, understand where they're coming from, the solutions will just pop up and you'll be seen as a hero.
Mm. So you were mentioning you guys went from zero to hero. So may there be more zeros to hero through this pandemic. Thank you so much, Tony. Does anybody have questions for Tony or for me? We're at the end of our time slot that was allotted. I know 45 minutes is so bad. Actually, everybody can come back. Hi, Robert.
Wow, I just want to say, well, how inspiring you both are. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Let's
Tony,
go, spark the world.
For you having this much energy at this time of night, it's like, yes. And Colette, I mean, wow. Just, I'm deeply touched and inspired, I think. And I think it's also true what you're saying, this idea that when we give people who have passion tools, that's where we can really make the biggest difference in the world.
Mm.
So thank you. You guys are amazing. What a wonderful, I can't think of a better way to spend an evening than this. So thank you.
So we can continue tomorrow.
That's right. So
Yeah.
tomorrow we have Mickey.
Yeah, I mean, you guys completely understand it, I guess, right now. You know, here is Tony, here is Colette, and, you know, they're beautiful minds. And if we were able to understand the structure of their beautiful minds, and there is a particular structure, you know, meta, macro, micro, as Colette was referring to it. And so tomorrow is going to be another interesting night where we're going to be talking about crisis management and reframing crisis, and also, you know, how everything kind of comes together when you work with a business. And so I'll be sharing a little bit about how I use the mindset map tool and the generative consulting process, as well as competencies with a client who was going through crisis. So that's coming up tomorrow.
Great. Looking forward to that. I have a question here for Tony. Tony, how do you connect every day to your purpose?
Why? How?
How?
Oh, well, it's easy. You just get up every morning and you remember why you're here. And, you know, is one thing. I mean, I got to remember, I come from very, very different backgrounds. I was in the church, and that's about, you know, having a real calling. And then I worked in the corporate world, and that's about making money. But when you put the two things together, actually, it's called magic. So,
brilliant.
You know, when you're passionate about what you do, you know, getting up at 5 a.m. is not a problem.
So there's also a question. Thank you, Tony. There's also a question. Is it all in the book? Yes, it's all in the book. It's all in the book.
Well, except the passion that you can feel from Colette and Tony for what they're doing. If you take the book and add a little passion, that's when you're going to get the magic for sure.
We'll do a two-man show, or one man, one woman show.
You guys, you're both awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Any other questions from people in the crowd?
I just want to contribute really that what you said, crisis and growth are somehow really together, and the personal crisis, like you shared, that your partner was, I hate it. And one thing that is important is to change the mindset, which is also really what Mickey will touch tomorrow, which is important for crisis. But to know where you're passionate about and where not. Colette, your example of what can I outsource, you know, where can I team up so that I can keep what nourishes me at the forefront. There will be always things that as an entrepreneur we don't like, and we also need to tell that to our clients, but having what inspires us really gets us up, and you just so magically really displayed the circle of success and how it's fueled. And I already was inspired when I just was reading, and now hearing you talking about it really makes me saying, hey, now I reread it and I will have your ear, you know, and that really makes it more beautiful. Thank you so much for all the sharing.
I think also another element, the circle of success, it's not useful just for the growth period, but also in the crisis period, and for businesses that are going through hardship right now. It's a good idea to review. Do we need to revise our vision or our mission? I know I have a major project, and a month ago, the energy was really, it was driving me down, and I realized that we need to change our mission. We need to transform our mission. And we took the afternoon and we transformed the mission of the project. The vision stayed the same, the client stayed the same, the value that we're bringing stays the same, but the mission changed. And then it changed also the ambitions or what we're going to be doing. And all of a sudden, this whole weight was lifted off. So other things, sometimes in times of crisis, you'll be needing to revise your roadmap. Maybe you had a roadmap that was all set out for the next 2 years and scrap the roadmap. We're creating the road as we go along, as we're saying in generative leadership. So
as Antonio said, you're building the bridge as you're crossing it.
Yeah, one slat at a time. So yeah, awakening the creativity. What can we do now? And it brings us to stretch and discover things that we've never done before. And I know I have a little perfectionist side. And when I do things I've never done before, my little perfectionist inside says, that's not good enough. Well, I have to mute that perfectionist and say, hey, no, this is what the system needs, and it'll come out the way it comes out. So a lot of things that are worked out, the inner critic during these phases when we're starting something new. But for me, it's always connecting, what does the system need? For Generative Leader, that Generative Leadership program, we made it in 2 weeks. We succeeded in getting so many people in 2 weeks. And right before it was reconnecting it to what does the system need right now? So I think businesses, if they ask themselves that question, what does the system need and how can I serve that? We'll be on our way to success and thriving. So voila les amis, voila my friends. I'd love to continue if you guys want to stay on. If not, we'll be closing for today and looking forward to having you tomorrow for the book launch, chapter 2 on crisis with Mickey. And I know Catherine will be there in spirit, holding the field in spirit as she wrote the chapter, but Mickey is coming in. I'm sure Mickey is also going to be sharing a bit more about the mindset map. And you can probably direct them to the Mindset Map site, right?
Yes. And
yeah.
somebody asked in the chat if the book was already available, and absolutely yes, you can get it on Amazon. And I think somebody just put in the link just now.
Thank you, Jean-François.
Just put in the.
That is the beauty of collaboration. We didn't even ask, and somebody in the team thinks, very proactive. Thank you, Jean-François, and thank you to this wonderful team for this creation. I had somebody that wrote to me in private and said, this book is the book that's going to make the difference in 2020. So please bring it out, whether it be for you or for businesses. I have an amazing restaurant next to my office, and he's been there for 15 years, and I love him. I love him so much, and he's struggling so much. I said, I think I'm going to come and spend an hour with you as a consultant to see how we can make your restaurant survive, because you are a gem and you've supported me. So maybe you can bring it out and help others around that are going through a hard time right now. So voila, everybody, please take care of yourselves. Even if we're going through hard times, take care of yourselves.
Thank you all.
Lovely to see you, and we'll be
Thank you all.
at the
Thank you all.
very much.
training.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all. Lovely to meet you, Tony.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you very much, Colette.
Everyone.
Very
Bye-bye.
inspiring.